हमारे ग्रैंडमदर को लेके आए थे हम यहाँ पे ट्रीटमेंट के वास्ते। पैर फ्रैक्चर हुआ था उदय प्रकाश सर के पास ओमिनी हॉस्पिटल में, उदय ओमिनी हॉस्पिटल में। अब पैर बहुत अच्छा है, ट्रीटमेंट बहुत अच्छी तरीके से है, फैसिलिटी अच्छा है हॉस्पिटल का, स्टाफ पूरा अच्छा है, बेस्ट है स्टाफ।
Hi, this is Dr. Udai Prakash. I'm just going to give you a brief about Mrs. Kasturi Bai, who's a 70-year-old lady who has come from a village having broken a hip about a month ago. So she was treated by local bone setters, but as the pain was not settling down, they decided to come to the city and see us. Essentially, she has what we call an intertrochanteric fracture of the hip, which in simple terms is a fracture or a break through the top part of the femur bone, quite close to the ball of the hip. And usually these are emergencies and they have to be fixed through surgery with either with a rod or a plate. Hip fractures are very common around the world, and as we get older our bones get weaker and simple falls can result in such fractures. So what she essentially needed was a simple surgery to get her up and walking. Unfortunately, the problem in this country is that expertise is tends to be limited only to tier 1 and tier 2 cities, and in any other place it's a fairly risky procedure because of lack of good facilities. So they decided to come here. We examined her. We found that she has a very painful hip, and when we took an x-ray, it essentially showed a non-union, or not, I mean, you can't call it a non-union, it's what we call, there was no evidence of any healing of the hip fracture. So it was decided that we should proceed with surgery. The family understood the procedure. Luckily for Mrs. Kasturi Bai, she didn't have any major comorbidities. She wasn't suffering from any major heart disease or sugar or diabetes. So we went ahead after doing her fitness test. We did the procedure. During surgery, we found that there was some stickiness to the fracture, so we opened up the fracture. We reduced the fracture back into its original place, and then we put a nice rod called the PFN, or the proximal femoral nail. Luckily for her, she stood up the next day and was able to take a few steps, and we expect her to go home on day 3 of surgery. She will require some physiotherapy when she gets back, and we shall explain to the local physiotherapist what to do, and he or she could be in regular touch with us. So Mrs. Kasturi Bai, I expect a full recovery. She will have her stitches removed in 14 days and hopefully be walking like you and me in about 2 to 3 months' time.